Hi folks, Six Isis here. We're going to look today at the upgraded version of the Who Knives V1. There was a time when in the UK, if you wanted a UK legal carry knife, it still is the case. It needs to be under 3 inches, it needs to be a slip joint, a non-locking knife. So you could have something very traditional like this Tailor's Eyewitness, but maybe you would really like to be carrying something a little bit more modern and up to date in titanium and with modern steels. You might want to carry your Sebenza. Well, a judge in the UK decided that if the knife had a lock, it wasn't immediately folding, and therefore you can't carry it. It's become an offensive weapon. Now that I think it's wrong, but I'm not sure I want to go to court to challenge him on that. So we have to look for alternative solutions. Now there are alternative solutions. There are modern slip joint knives that use modern materials that I particularly like. I'm very fond of the Enzo PK70, but it is still just a traditional slip joint. It may be S30V steel, and it may have titanium bolsters and G10 crown, G10 handles. It may have some of the best fit and finish of any knife you'll find anywhere, but it's just a slip joint that opens with a nail nick, and that's what it is. There are other alternatives that are available in the UK. In my collection, I've got the Vagnino zip slip, which is a very nice titanium handled knife, S35 VN blade, designer, really nice knife. Another Kaiser that's in my collection is the WPK, I think it's called. Yeah, WPK. Again, S35 VN, titanium. In this case, it's kind of stone washed finish. Whereas that's a sort of bead blasted finish. But let's say you want something specifically UK that is also one hand openable, but in the current day and age, we have thumb stud opening knives and flipper knives and all sorts of stuff. It would be nice to be able to have that in the UK, and this knife gives you all of that: modern materials, modern design, top quality materials, flipping action, ball bearing pivots, pocket clips, all the modern conveniences that we would like to see in a knife, but built with a non-locking mechanism in order that it's not going to get you locked up just because you're carrying one. And it also, the blade is just on the 3 inches, the cutting edge is well under the 3 inches, which makes it, you shouldn't have any problem with a policeman if he does stop you in the street. The questionable bit potentially going forward is whether a flipper could be construed as being a flip knife. Now, so far, it isn't. These are perfectly legal to own, perfectly legal to carry in the UK. I suspect there may come a time in the not too distant future when a judge will, in the same way as a judge one day decided that a locking knife is not a folding knife. I mean, that's just a bizarre concept. You imagine a folding bicycle that didn't have a catch before you folded it, a folding table that didn't have a catch before you folded it, and so on. It's ridiculous, but it is the way that it is. And you could challenge that if you want, but the risk if you lose is that you could end up going to jail for 6 months. Certainly if it's a second conviction, it's automatically a 6 month jail sentence minimum. So there is a danger that could become a problem, but I think that's a reason to buy one of these now while they are available, because that's something that may just change in the future. So anyway, these knives come in a really good quality box, a bit like the Medford ones. Inside they've got a little baggie, sticker, specification card, talk about the specification in a second. Who knows, and there's their social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and they have a lifetime warranty. Lifetime warranty is great. My only concern with lifetime warranty is that it's backed by Who Knives, and if as long as Who Knives are in business, the warranty is in business. If Who Knives were to go out of business, the warranty would lose its value. Anyway, specification for both the old version and the new one, M390 blade steel, really good. 20 CV is the carpenter's equivalent. Cutting edge, 2.9 inches, mechanism double detent. The detent material has improved over the first version. Handle material, titanium, pocket clip, deep carry, tip up, right or left hand carry, easy to change, and no filler tabs or anything like that. The clip is fitted inside the handle. Pocket material, pocket clip material is stainless steel. That's an important improvement, I think. Although some people will look at that as a downgrade because the original one was titanium, but the new one is much, much better. Liner material, titanium. Production on updated stone-washed version. Designer Carl D. Pearson. I forgot. There's also a Who Knives branded cloth. So that's all great. That's pretty much the same as the first one. I just want to go quickly over the changes. The obvious change is the finish, stone wash, both handle and blade. This one is bead blasted handle with a satin blade. Now you can get the new version with a satin blade, or you can get it all a blacked out stone wash as well. They're the choices. The clip is upgraded. The original one was just too weedy. I mean, it was titanium, which is a nice idea, but if you're going to have a titanium one, it needs to be either as robust and chunky as the one on the Sebenza, or one of the sort of milled titanium clips or something like that. But I actually think steel is the best material for a pocket clip. You know, on my Rocksteads, they're often criticised for having this plain steel clip. Actually, I think these clips work really well, and I think it's one of the good things that Rockstead do on their knives is use a steel clip, and they're prepared to do it, and not pansy around trying to put on some milled titanium thing that just never really works very well. This is a steel clip. Steel clips work good. They're good for me. So Carl's now gone for a steel clip. He sent me the replacement clip for the original one, and I swapped it over, but you can still see the scarring that came from the titanium one not being strong enough, and so it moved around and it scratched the side of the knife. Another and very subtle change that he's made now is that he's put a bit of plastic coating on the clip to stop it from marking inside the knife before you've even used it. And this is particularly important if you want to swap it over to left hand carry, because it means that you don't end up, even though I moved this one over straight away, you see just by my thumb there, that scratch on the knife that was caused by the handle, by the clip, you know, in transit, in my original handling it before I took the knife to bits and swapped the clip over. And I can't, you know, you can't do anything about that. That's just there, sort of refinishing the whole knife. You're stuck with it. with having this little bit of plastic, you're not going to get that damage. Once you've decided where you want it, you take that plastic off and you're done. Another subtle thing which he has changed. Just get these two knives together. Be good if I had two working hands. It would make life a lot easier. The Carl D. Pearson is much clearer on the lower knives. The new one, it's much clearer and easier to read. I always like that. I think the branding should be subtle, but it should be readable. I hate it when you see illegible branding. The rest of the branding is the same. One thing, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'll get this up closer. If you see, they're individually numbered, and this one is numbered. My first one, oh, there it is, 189. And this one that I just got from Carl is also 189. Now they're not all the same number. There's just I happen to have the two that are the same number, which is really cool. Now I don't know whether Carl did that on purpose. Maybe when you watch this, you can comment below and tell me, did you do that on purpose, or is this just happenstance? It's changed my mind about whether I want this knife or not. We'll come to that. Anyway, the real big difference is in the internal mechanism. Now they're both ball bearing pivots, and I don't think the ball bearings have changed. But what you can see, if I bring it up there, you can see the edge of one of the detent bars just inside the handle there. And if I turn it over, there's the other one. Now they are on the back of the blade. In the new version, they're not in the back. There's nothing to see in the back there. But if you turn it over, you can see the edge of the detent bars, one there and one there, on the front of the knife. Now, I was thinking about this. Now, they are beefed up slightly on this over the original version, so that gives you a little bit more strength. But the other thing is that in this version, the older version, when you're folding the blade, you're pulling the bars are here on this side, holding the back of the blade here. So when you fold the blade, you're pulling out of that sort of that grip there. Whereas in the new one, rather than pull it out of there, here you're pushing it into the two bars, Now, I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but my suspicion is that that is a slightly stronger mechanism. Now, they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Well, this has a much stronger detent than this one. That's a good thing, because it makes it less likely to fold the blade when you're using it. Now, I'm not one of these people who gets paranoid about the blade about to fold. I mean, it's going to chop my fingers off and all that. It isn't. If you use it properly, it's not going to do it. But it also means that the detent on opening the knife is tougher on the older version. Sorry, if these fail to open, this is not because there's any fault in the knife. It's purely me. I'm really bad at it. But I have not had this one fail on me once. But this one, I do manage to fail it. Now, as I say, it doesn't mean it's a dodgy mechanism. What I'm really telling you is I think the mechanism on the new one is better. So it's better in the opening and it's better in the closing. And I think that is significant. It is indicative of the way that Carl originally made a really good knife, and yet he still managed to improve on it. And I suspect if this goes on, later either iterations of this knife or other designs that he comes up with will be better and better and better, and I think that bodes well for the future. Just a couple of quick comparisons of these two other knives in my collection. Compared to the Vagnino zip slip, we've got a similar sort of titanium handle that is titanium. It's not similar, and that this one is I think I really like the machining of this thing. It's just really nice. But instead of an M390 blade, we have an S35VN blade. I've never been hugely impressed with S35VN steel. I prefer S30, but you know, there's a significant upgrade, but they're very similar in price. I do like the fact this has a full finger choil, which just stops the knife from being able to close on your finger. Be quite nice to see something like that in a future Carl Pearson design, or Who Knives design. And this, of course, is though it is one hand opening with a thumb hole, a bit like a Spyderco. Now I actually can't open it like that. Again, that's my fingers. It's not that there's a problem with the knife, but I suspect in the long run that may prove to be a good thing. The other Kaiser I have here is the WPK. This has an extended tang, which does facilitate one-handed opening. Again, I'm a bit rubbish at doing it, but I can do it. This has a finish very similar to the first version of Carl's knife, only it's had a stonewash blade. So personally, this is a similar price. I would take one of these over this Kaiser any day of the week. And of course, compared to my long-term favourite UK legal knife, the Enzo PK70 is very much of a traditional slip joint, but with modern materials. This is a modern knife made UK legal. I think that's really the difference. This is truly a modern knife. This is an updated version of a traditional knife. And I really do think that is the principal difference. Of course, where Carl's really come good is this. This is the Chris Reef Sebenza. Now, the Sebenza is a really, really great knife, and were it not locking, it would be a great everyday carry knife in the UK. This is a small Sebenza, very similar in size. We've got, again, titanium. Is S35VN instead of M390? Yeah. Although they're moving on to Magna Cut, I believe. It's going to be their standard steel going forward, so that could be equivalent. But the real difference between the Sebenza and these knives of Carl's is that you can buy both of those and another one. In fact, you can buy both of those and one of these for the price of one Sebenza. Does that mean the Sebenza is overpriced? Probably. But I think more importantly, I think it means that Carl's knives are really, really well priced. People will still say they're expensive, and there is a significant price hike between this version, which I think was 110 or 115, and I think these are now 135. In the current climate of inflation, that's probably a justified rise. I wouldn't like to see too much more, but I do think that these are really good value for money. Oh, and one last thing, they came very, very sharp, which I know is should be the case, but it isn't always the case. So there we are. If you like the stuff, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this, and hopefully we'll have the next of the Jack Wolf knives coming up very, very shortly, and I may have some other bits and pieces coming along with that on loan from Paddy. So subscribe, and if you want notifications, remember to ring the bell. Thank you very much. Bye.